Gotta be honest with you, if at the start of the year somebody had said a cartoon would have been one of my favourite superhero movies of the year, I probably wouldn't have believed them. But it is. Here we are.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring the voice talents of, amongst others, Shameik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Mahershala Ali, Jake Johnson, Liev Schreiber, Lily Tomlin and Nicolas Cage. God bless you, Nicolas Cage. Directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey and Rodney Rothman, off of a screenplay that Rothman wrote alongside Phil Lord. This is my review for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is the story of Miles Morales. He gets bitten by a spider and gets his powers to become Spider-Man just at the same time as he sees Peter Parker die. He then gets visited by another Peter Parker and finds out that lots of other spider people are coming across from different dimensions, and he needs to help them get home and stop the nasty plans of Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin. So I was excited for this film. I thought it was going to be fun. That's all I wanted for it, just for it to be fun. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is. It blew me away in so many areas. I mean, for starters, it's an animation, and I'm not saying that animations are worse than normal films, but I struggle to invest quite as much in cartoons as I do in live action. Maybe that's just me, but I can never really make the full connection. But with this one, I did, because after the first few minutes, it didn't feel like I was watching a cartoon. And that's because the animation style in this is so different and so quirky and, to sound cliche, like a comic book come to life, that I just found the whole world just absorbing. It helps as well that the voice acting here is phenomenal. It's not done as if they're animating a cartoon, it's done as if they are doing a live action performance. Every bit of dialogue feels natural, it feels genuine. The performances don't feel like they've got anything different to them because it's a cartoon. So because of all that, it just allows me to become so immersed in this world, and it's almost hypnotic to look at times. There's so much going on the screens in so many different shots. You've got the speech bubbles coming out. You've got the weird sort of distortions of the characters from the other dimensions. You've got so many little quirks to the style and to the look of this that it just wants to be rewatched a number of times, because there's no way you can catch everything in this film the first watch. There's just so much to it. And yet, performance-wise, everybody is awesome here. Say everybody who's been cast does the perfect voice for the characters. Shameik Moore is awesome as Miles Morales. This is such a great movie to see Miles on the screen for the first time in, because it very much is his film. He's the driving force of this whole thing. He's the character we're rooting for, and I 100% rooted for him because he's such a likeable kid. But everybody else is absolutely incredible as well. Jake Johnson is hilarious in this one as Peter B. Parker. So much fun. And then you've got all the other characters as well. I mean, Nicolas Cage is always great. I love Nicolas Cage. He's perfect as Spider-Man Noir. But there isn't really anybody that I can pick up on as having a fault here, because they're all so good. As I say, it's how realistic and natural that these performances feel that make this movie such a high bar. And just to circle back to the animation style, there's only one thing, really, when it comes to the design of this that I didn't particularly care for, and that was the design of Wilson Fisk. They made him a very, very big character, and we know that Kingpin is big, but it seemed like he was almost comically big in this one. It wasn't a huge problem, like it wasn't anything that took marks away from the movie for me, but it was just one little thing that I wasn't happy with. But yeah, everything else, just absolutely amazing. And this is one of the funniest films I've seen this year. Seriously, one of the funniest. The last time I remember this year laughing so hard at a movie that's come out this year was Game Night. And this, I think, outdoes that. Game Night, I thought, was a very, very funny film. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should, because it is genuinely hysterical at times. But this beats it. This isn't a straight-up comedy, but it does, because the humour in it is so good, particularly if you're a fan of the Spider-Man character and you've seen all the other movies, because this riffs on so many of them. Within the first few minutes alone, we get some brilliant nods to the Tobey Maguire trilogy, to the Andrew Garfield movies, and to Tom Holland's recent Spider-Man Homecoming. There's lots of little Easter eggs and nods here to Spider-Man movies and stories, not just the films, like the cartoons and the comic books as well, that just make this such a rewarding film to watch, as I say, especially if you love the character of Spider-Man. But even if you don't, the humour is so off the wall and so offbeat at times that even if you don't like Spider-Man, this should still make you laugh. There's so many jokes. There's a great Spider-Ham joke about That's All Folks that just had me in pain from laughing. And even smaller ones, like just somebody calling it a joke to do with a bagel that I won't ruin, really made me laugh. But that's just to name just a couple, because there's so many moments in this one where the comedy is just on point. And yeah, I can't wait to watch this again. I haven't laughed this much at the cinema in a long time, and I wasn't expecting that from this. I was expecting it to be a little bit quirky, but I wasn't expecting it to be outright hilarious. But what it does so well is that, yeah, it is very funny, but the dramatic stuff isn't cheapened by that. All of these tones just blend together so perfectly. When the serious stuff happening on the screen, when the characters are in peril, I'm in that moment. I'm in that moment with them. And then a joke will come along a couple of minutes later, and it doesn't detract from the seriousness that came before. It gets that balancing act absolutely right. And yeah, this may be one of my favourite superhero movies from this year, and this is the same year we had Infinity War. It's difficult because this doesn't have the weight behind it that Infinity War did. It doesn't have the gravitas that the MCU movies have built up at this point. So it's hard to look at them in the same sort of genre, because Infinity War feels so much bigger than this, which is why it's probably so much more memorable. But at the same time, this one is done so well. Everything about it just works. It's such a good story. As I say, there's a lot going on in this film. There's a lot of different plot threads all being thrown at the screen, but they all stick. None of them get lost in the shuffle. The villain, Wilson Fisk, is pretty good. As I say, I didn't like the design that much, but the character and his motivations I completely got. So he's a very good villain, and he always is. He's a great character. There are other villains in here that don't work quite as well. There's a version of Doc Ock that didn't quite work for me, but on the whole, it nails a superhero story. It does an origin story multiple times actually in this one, but for Miles, it does an origin story extremely well, and the story as a whole fires on all cylinders. Like with Infinity War, there were a few bits that I thought that dragged. There were a few bits that I think the movie could have done without. This one, every single second, pretty much every single second I loved. Pretty much every single second I really enjoyed. I wouldn't take anything away from it. So looking at it from that point of view, guess I kind of prefer this to Infinity War. And I do want to do a Spider-Man ranking video at some point now as well, because I just want to go through them all again. I might even rewatch them and just see where this would fall in the pantheon of Spider-Man movies. Because for me, Spider-Man 2 is top tier. Like, you can't beat Spider-Man 2, but I don't know now. I don't know, because this was really strong. I really hope we get a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, because this is a world that I want to go back into. These are characters that I want to see again. And it's not often that I'll be clamouring for a sequel, because sequels, obviously, laws of diminishing returns, aren't always, or most times, aren't as good as what came before it. But this movie, this world, has so much potential to it, so many other things to explore, so many other Spider-Men that we can meet. And just excluding all of that, excluding all the fun Easter eggs, the character of Miles Morales alone is somebody that I want to spend more time with. I want to see what he does next. I want to see where his journey takes him. And by the way, his Aunt May in this one, Peter Parker's Aunt May, is one of the coolest Aunt Mays you're ever going to see. I want to see her come back again. Yeah, just all of these characters. I want to see them again. I want another adventure for them. I want more stories for them. And it's so rare to come out of a movie really wanting that to happen. I do with this. This is a brilliant film. If you're put off by it because it's a cartoon, don't be. As I say, it sucks you in. You get so absorbed in this that you almost forget it's a cartoon. If you've got a problem with animation, give this a try. I think it'll surprise you. But yeah, just a really strong film. I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse a 9 out of 10. Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? If so, let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and let me know your favourite Spider-Man movie as well. Let me know your worst too. Let's just talk about Spider-Man films. Look out for more reviews coming soon, including for the likes of Mortal Engines, and Aquaman is this week as well. Can the DCEU, or Worlds of DC, or whatever they call it, can they get back onto top tier again? We'll find out. Looks promising. But yeah, look out for reviews on those. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of them. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at Joe Julians, if you want to chat on there. That's also my name on Stardust. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.